Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are just going to be testing and trying out a full face of some new makeup that I've picked up over the last month or so. We have some brand new products, some you haven't seen me try on yet, some you have, but I just figured since I actually have a full face here, let's just try it all on together. So let me pin the hair back, zoom you in, and we can get to putting this on the face. Alright, now that I've you zoomed in nice and close, like I mentioned, a lot of these products are actually from the drugstore. I find that here in Canada, we tend to get our drugstore launches definitely later than in the US. So while a lot of these came out probably at the beginning of the summer or in the spring, we are just getting them now. So I just picked up a bunch of new things I thought would be fun to try out. I do have the Maybelline Super Slick Brow Glue, and I also got the L'Oreal Faux Brow. Now I'm not typically into these type of marker brow filler products, but I thought we would give this one a go. I think what I want to do is start with the brow gel. I think that's what I see a lot of people do. I just haven't been going as crazy on filling them in. This really does come in a really nice sort of little tube. It kind of reminds me of the NYX Brow Glue, which I also really like and which is also really intense. I have worn this a couple of times so far, and I do find it to be a pretty strong hold without fully laminating my brows. That's just not something that I like on myself personally, so I have been really liking this one. I did just get the clear one. I don't typically go for brow gels with a tint, so I just thought this would be really nice. My favorite is still the Rare Beauty Brow Gel. I also really love the Makeup by Mario Master Hold, but if I can find one that is super affordable, I am definitely going to go for that because a brow gel is something I use every single time. Okay, the L'Oreal Faux Brow. This is an up to 2-day brow tint pen. And because I am the way that I am, I already threw away the packaging on this, so I don't know what shade I have. I think it's light brown. But this is definitely a warmer brown, which I prefer, just given that my hair has a lot more warm tones. I kind of like my brows to have that sort of warm leaning tint as well. So if you haven't seen this before, this is kind of like a two-pronged brow marker. So I'm just going to go in and try to fill out the areas that are a little bit more sparse after I did that gel. So that's what it looks like with and without. So it does a nice job. It gives you much more of that sort of natural fill, which I do like. It's not at all too intense. Okay, so now that the brows are done, I want to go into the eyes. I'm just going to prime my lids with my Sigma eyeshadow base. I have just been loving this for the last several months. They did send this to me and I started using it, and I think when I got it, it was right around the time when I used up my Alter Ego eyeshadow base, which I would say is still my favorite. That is still my number one without a doubt, but this also does a really nice job. I think this blends out beautifully. It does such a nice job of just canceling out any discoloration on the lids. It doesn't move, it locks me in. But how are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments. I hope that you've all had a really nice summer. I know as I'm filming this, it is the end of August, so I hope that you've all had some time to enjoy the warmer months, or if you're in a different hemisphere, I hope you're getting excited for spring. Now that I've got that on, I'm just going to grab a larger fluffy shadow brush. And today I do want to play with the Urban Decay Moondust Ice Out palette. I just posted a full review on this one. I think right now it's still just available here in Canada, but I do think this is super beautiful. But I want to pair it with something, so I actually pulled out the Natasha Denona Xenon. And the reason for this one is because I pulled this palette out to do some comparisons in my review video of this one, and in looking at them side by side, I think they will actually be beautiful companions to one another. So just to set my lids, I'm going to grab a little bit of the shade Contrail, and I just want to use this to set down that powder. This is kind of like a white, so I'm not going in too intense with it right now. But as I was saying, I hope you guys have enjoyed the summer season. Did you take any vacations? Did you just relax? Did you do maybe a staycation? Let me know in the comments. We didn't go anywhere this year. We were kind of hoping to, but we actually have some house projects we wanted to take care of, so we kind of prioritized that. And we also got a new kitten in May, and he requires a bit more attention, so we didn't want to leave him either. So we stayed home this year. Maybe next year we'll get to go somewhere. Okay, so now that I've done that, I do want to go into the shade Blizzard. And I'm just going to kind of put this one in the crease, but I don't know if I want to go all the way across with it just yet. This is going to be a very, very cool tone look, of course. But we did, of course, get a new kitten. I have mentioned him before. He kind of looks like a rag doll, but we know he's mixed with a bunch of things. My husband owns his own business, and that often takes him to different farms. I'm just going into this gray shade now. So my husband, this is not the first time he's done this, but he goes to a farm for his work, and he sees a cute little barn kitten, and he brings it home. This is not the first time. So we have 3 cats. We have Willie, who was a shelter rescue of mine in 2019, and he's a tuxedo boy. He is the love of my life. He is my soul cat. And then in 2022, my husband was doing a job at a farm, and he saw this tiny little kitten, and he was about 5 weeks. And the mama cat, I don't know where she was, what happened to her. The farmer had no idea where the mother went. They just knew that she disappeared, and he was the only one left of his siblings, sadly, and they weren't able to bring him inside, and he was only 5 weeks old, and my husband was like, okay, I'll take him then. I didn't even get a consult. He just took this sweet kitten. He actually loves cats, so he brings home this tiny little kitten, and we named him Milo. He is so cute and so sweet, and he's such a silly boy. He definitely mimics my husband's personality. He is an absolute agent of chaos, whereas Willie is very much me. He's very chill and calm. He doesn't like loud noise. He likes to be comfortable. He's me, 100%. But fast forward to this spring, my husband's at a farm. He's doing a job, and this farm had a ton of barn cats, and they even had some fresh litters of kittens. He was already kind of, looking around, do we want another cat? And this little cat comes out. He was about 6 months, and he's built kind of funny. He's very bow-legged in the front. So the vet thinks it's just that he didn't get proper nutrition when he was really, really little. I think I might leave it at that for now. I'm going to go into the Moon Dust palette, and I'm going to grab the shade Ice Slick because this was absolutely my favorite. And I'm just going to grab that on a finger and bring it all over the lid like so. So my husband sees this little kitten who isn't the littlest cat, but very, very sweet. He immediately comes over to my husband, and he's just such a lover boy. And the farmer was saying he's the sweetest cat you'll ever meet in your life. He's so lovey. So we talked it over, and my husband brings this one home, and we named him Kyle. And he was on a lot of antibiotics and stuff for the first few weeks that we had him because he definitely had a lot of health issues. I don't want to say he's a special needs cat. I don't really think he is, but he does have more health concerns than others. But since he's been with us, he's gotten really healthy, and his fur is coming in super nice and thick now. He is so playful. When we first got him, he was pretty calm and docile, and we thought, well, maybe he's going to be just like Willie, but it turns out that he just, he wasn't very well. He was on a lot of antibiotics initially, the poor sweet boy, but now that he's happy and healthy and has all his nutrients, his fur is just so thick and beautiful, and he's so playful. He is also a mama's boy, so I'm not mad. Loves, like, the second you walk into a room, he runs to greet you like a little puppy. He gives you love nibbles if you don't pay attention to him when he wants you to, which isn't my favorite thing, but I can deal with it. I'm just gonna go back into this gray shade in the Natasha palette. This shade is looking really, really pretty. I just want a little something extra. So we've been really, really loving having another little kitten around. And Willie, because he's so much like me and he just kind of likes his peace, Willie absolutely adores Kyle. We thought it would be the exact opposite. We thought Willie'd be like, great, another one. But he actually adores Kyle. And then Milo's the one who's a little bit salty. So we just had to put in a lot of work to make sure everybody's getting all of the love that they need and Deserve. Okay, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this shade with a brush. I do like these Moon Dust shadows better with a finger, but because I'm trying to be really precise in where I'm putting this one, I'm just going to go in with my brush, and that is perfect. I just wanted it to sort of mesh with those outer corner mattes a little bit better. I do kind of like how that look ended up coming together though. I'm pretty happy with this. So I kind of like how that came together. I'm not a big fan of blue eyeshadow, but this is kind of soft and subtle enough that I can definitely work with this. This is a very kind of icy, almost winter-esque look, but I do think it's quite pretty. But that is the story of how we ended up with yet another kitten, but he's doing so well. So well. I hope I have a lot of cat people here because I am a crazy cat mom. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly curl my lashes, and then I have a new mascara that I want to try out. Okay, the new mascara that I have is actually from About Face, and this is the 1994 mascara. Isn't that what it's called? It's in the shade Black, and they did send this to me, so I don't know if it's super new, but I haven't tried it yet, so I figured we could do so together. It does have a rubber bristle wand, and the bristles do look very pokey, so I'm going to try to be really careful to not poke myself in the eye. Sometimes I like wands like these, sometimes I don't. I do prefer a fiber bristle wand, but what really matters is how it makes my lashes look. Alright, so that is one coat. I do feel like this is a bit of a wetter formula, so I might like it a little bit better once it's been open for a little bit. But I do still think it looks really nice. Definitely gives my lashes quite a bit of length. I don't know about volume, maybe a little bit, but I think length is really where this mascara is shining right now. It does look really nice. I think I really like that mascara. That is really nice. And I also like that I somehow managed to not get it all over my lids. That is not common for me, so I like that I managed to do that. Alright, so getting into complexion, I have from the Sephora collection, they have reformulated their Best Skin Ever foundation. They've also reformulated their Best Skin Ever concealer. So we're going to try both of these. I have worn them already, so I'm not going to be doing a wear test, but I will kind of talk you through what I've noticed about the wear as I'm applying. In the foundation, I have the shade 02P. So this foundation is made in France. This also has a 12-month shelf life. This is supposed to be a medium buildable coverage, have 16-hour comfortable wear. In 28 days, you're supposed to notice improved skin texture, and this has an 86% skincare base with hydrating hyaluronic acid. So this does sound really nice. This does also have a nice frosted glass bottle and a pump. One thing I did want to point out is that you actually only get 25 ml of product in here, whereas most standard foundations across the board, you get 30. So you do get a little bit less product. From the past few times that I have worn this foundation, the shade is a little bit light, but it works once I add blush and bronzer. It's not too light at all. It ends up looking quite nice, and it definitely does give me a nice medium coverage. I find when it initially goes on, it can look a little bit dry, which is interesting because it has that 86% skincare base to it. Now, I never tried the original Best Skin Ever foundation, so if you have tried that one, let me know if you liked it down below. I am curious. It doesn't feel too heavy. I don't think it's the most lightweight though either. I would say the Maybelline Lumi Matte foundation gives a very similar coverage level, very similar dry down, very similar wear time, but it does feel a little bit more lightweight. So far I do think I prefer the Maybelline over this one. Alright, so that is what we are looking like with the foundation. Again, the shade's a little bit light, but I can correct that. I do think it looks nice. It does have a nice dry down to it. It does feel like it's already dry. It doesn't have any sort of tackiness to it, which I do really appreciate. So next we're going into the Best Skin Ever Multi-Use Concealer. This is in the shade 01P. This is also made in France and has a 6-month shelf life. This also gives you 5 ml of product. This says it has a natural finish with medium to full coverage. This corrects and smooths for 16 hours. Improves skin texture after 28 days, and has a 75% skincare base, and this is non-comedogenic. So this is what this one looks like. I do really like the shape of this doe foot. I'm just going to add a little bit, and start working that into the under eyes. This concealer is quite nice as well, but I do think it is quite a full coverage. And if you have really dry under eyes, you're going to want to prep them really well. I just don't feel like this is the best concealer if you do have those drier under eyes. For a more full coverage option, I would recommend the Natasha Denona, the new Makeup Forever. That one's so good. But this one, it looks nice enough. And I don't know if you can tell, but there is a bit of a dryness here, and I don't like that. I did prep my skin properly. I actually used the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, which is one of the most hydrating bases that I typically use. So I don't mind this concealer, but it's not the most hydrating. I feel like both of these make me work a little bit more than some other products do in order to get them blended out and looking nice and flawless. I love the dry down on both of them. I just wish they looked more hydrating, and I kind of expected them to be given that they have hydrating ingredients. Before I go into powder, I have some cream products I want to try out. So this first one is actually from Maybelline, and this is the Lifter Sticks. So this is supposed to be a very multi-use product. I think you can use it for contour, bronzer, highlighter, maybe all over as foundation if you want. It says these are made in Canada and have a 12-month shelf life. I got the shade 30, and the reason I got this shade is because I've been using it as a bronzer stick. So I've just been taking it off the stick with my brush and just bronzing the perimeter of the face, and this has actually been working so well. This is just a really nice shade. It's not too warm. It has some warmth to it, but it's not too warm at all. And I don't even know what fully compelled me to pick this up. I just kept seeing it everywhere, and I just thought they looked really nice. So I figured I would pick one up and use it as a bronzer stick, see what happens. It's Maybelline, so it's super affordable. And I've just been loving it for this purpose. I've been using it under powder bronzers. I've been using it on its own like this, and I just think it looks so good. It's also pigmented enough, but it doesn't blend away, and it's not too pigmented or too aggressive. And I think because there's just a lot of skin tone shades, it's just easy for you to get just the right tone. For blush, I have a new cream blush. This is from IT Cosmetics, and this is their Sun Blush. This is their Glow with Confidence Sun Blush, blush and bronzer, and a 95% solid serum. So I have the shade Sunlit. They did send this to me. This comes in a really heavy glass jar. So this is what it looks like, and it does look really pretty. I'm not 100% sure that this shade is going to go with today's look, but I can always throw a powder on top if I don't like it. So let's just go in. I'm going to grab my BK Beauty 109 brush and just pick up a little bit of that blush. That's really pretty. It's kind of that formula that mimics the finish of the foundation that's underneath, which is normally a good thing. It's something I really enjoy. Okay, I think that's really pretty. That's a really pretty kind of softer blush. It has a little bit of a glow to it, but it's nothing crazy intense. It's not going to give you that glass skin effect by any means. And it doesn't feel super tacky, which is so nice, especially from a cream product, because typically I just figure that I'm going to get this super intense kind of shine and my hair is going to be sticking to my face all day. So I'm glad this is not doing that. For powder, I'm going to be using the new Sephora Blur It Loose Setting Powder. So I got the shade Pink. I think this was the lightest one that they had. And I just want to say the packaging on this is 10 out of 10. So it is just a plastic little jar. They have this cute little triangle puff in here. So like the exact kind of very useful puff that we're buying on Amazon right now. So I love that that is included. A lot of times I find that the puffs that are included with these powders really aren't useful. This I love. This is a really nice one. And then you have this little cap that is actually attached, and then you get the mesh. Everything about this packaging is 10 out of 10. I just feel like they really thought of everything in terms of this packaging. But let's start adding this to the under eyes. I do think this powder does a really, really nice job blurring and setting everything and locking everything in. I do think this foundation and concealer combo is a little bit too dry for my skin type though. Every single time so far that I've used this particular combo, my skin always just ends up looking a little bit drier than I would like. And I have used this powder with some other foundation concealer combos and it looks beautiful, flawless, very, very blurred and airbrushed. So I know part of the problem is definitely this foundation and concealer. They're just a little too dry for me personally. This shade in particular is a pink powder, but it's not like a pink blush. It's just got a very slight pink hue to it. It's just going to sort of brighten everything up, which I appreciate without actually turning everything pink. So I do appreciate that. Loving this powder, loving the design. Everything about this so far is really, really nice. It doesn't feel too heavy or cakey or anything like that. I did also purchase one of the new NYX Buttermelt highlighters. I don't know why, I know I love the Buttermelt bronzer. I haven't tried the Buttermelt blushes because I've heard they're crazy pigmented and they look crazy pigmented. So I've never purchased one of those, but something about this one just kept calling to me. This is just a really, really pretty champagne kind of highlight. It does look really pretty. This is a great match if you're near my skin tone. I forgot to say the shade. This is Bright and Butter, which is, like I said, just a very, very light champagne. This is a little bit glittery though, I am noticing. So if you do not like glitter in your highlighters, this one may be a pass. It is really, really pretty and shiny, but there are definitely glitter particles in there. So just keep that in mind, but it is quite pretty. Okay, lastly for lips, I did pick up one of the newly reformulated lip liners from the Sephora collection. This is their 8-hour colorful transfer proof lip liner. I have the shade Rosewood Mood. So I did really love the original Sephora collection lip liners. They are such a beautiful formula. They're kind of like a gel sort of consistency. So they apply super, super creamy, super effortlessly. They blend out beautifully and they lock in and stay put all day. I love that type of texture in a lip liner. This is pretty similar, so I'm just going to line my lips. All right, so that is the lip liner applied and sort of blended into the lips. I will say this pencil is just a wooden pencil. The other formula was more of a retractable pencil, so that was kind of the main difference, but this is really, really nice. This is a super nice formula. And finally, I did purchase one of the new Rouge Dior On Stage Coated Shine lipsticks. I am so excited with this. I got the shade Iconic Rose. So these are supposed to be a very shiny lipstick formula. This is what the tube looks like. I actually really like the little teardrop shape of the lipstick itself. I'm hoping it does match the lip liner, but let's go in and see. Oh, that feels so nice on the lips. That looks so nice on the lips and it feels so nice. That went on so quickly. It is so creamy. It almost feels kind of like an oil. It's just so wet and hydrating, but it obviously gave me a lot of pigment and it is super shiny. This is a nice formula. Oh, I really, really like this. Okay, let me take the hair down. I'll zoom you out and we can get into our final recap. All right, so here is the finished final look and I really love how everything came together for the most part. So first off, I've been loving this Moon Dust palette from Urban Decay. I think this is so pretty. I think these are some of the prettiest Moon Dust shades. I love that it's blue, but it's not crazy, overly blue, uncomfortable and unapproachable. I think that even if you are someone who doesn't wear a lot of blue, you can really sort of get on with this. Like I said, I don't wear a ton of blue, but I really like this. I think it makes it very, very approachable, and I think this ends up being a little bit more icy than blue. The brow products, I've been loving the brow gel. This brow pen is okay. It's something you want to store upside down just because you want to make sure that that tip has the product. I think it's It's okay. It's not a favorite. I do think that I just prefer either a powder or a regular pencil brush, but together I do think these look quite nice. The mascara, I think this looks really pretty as well. I think it gave a lot of length and definition to my lashes. I don't know that it gave the most amount of volume, but it still looks really nice. So I am excited to keep testing this out. For the complexion products, the foundation and the concealer, I just don't think these are favorites. I don't hate them, but I just don't think they're favorites. I think they give a really nice amount of coverage. I obviously love the price point of these. I just don't like that they're both kind of on that drier side. And for my dry skin, they just don't love it. And especially right now, we are in that time of year where my dry skin really isn't as dry as it could be because we're in the middle of summer. I live in a humid climate, which my skin loves. So for that reason, I just don't really love these. I find the foundation takes me a little bit longer to blend. I think it ends up looking nice. It gives me a nice amount of coverage, but I do feel like if there is any sort of dryness, it really does sort of cling to it and enhances it a little bit too much. I do think I love the dry down. I love that it dries down so well. I do think it ends up having a really nice natural finish. And it doesn't end up looking heavy, and the longer you have it on, after a couple of hours, it ends up looking really, really nice. So I do like that, and for that reason, I think I might actually get somewhere out of this, especially in the summertime, but this is not something that I would ever think to reach for in the winter, just because if it's enhancing dryness in the summer, it's definitely going to be a problem. I think in terms of affordable foundations that are lightweight but also dry down to a nice matte but give you a very high coverage level, I would go with the Maybelline Lumi Matte over this one. The Sephora Best Skin Ever Concealer, very similar thoughts. I think this is a little bit better than the foundation in my opinion, but it is a little bit dry as well. I think it looks nice on the under eyes, but I do think it enhances dryness a little bit because I tested the powder on top of this and as well as some of the other concealers that I really enjoy, and the only time my under eyes looked a little bit dry was with this. So this isn't a bad one, but I just have some that I prefer that give me that higher coverage without drying me out, like the Natasha Denona, the Makeup Forever. This is really nice and affordable. Maybe if you're not as dry as I am, this might work for you. It does give a really nice amount of coverage. So between these two products, I think the concealer I like better. They're not bad, I just don't think they're really suited toward my dry skin. The Maybelline Lifter Sticks. This is kind of like the surprise breakout hit. I had no idea I would like this as much, just something kept telling me to try it, and so I did, and I decided to pick up a bronzer shade, and lo and behold, I absolutely love it as a bronzer. This is, like I said, the shade 30, so it's not too warm, it's not too cool, it's just a really nice neutral brown, and it looks really nice on my skin tone. I find it has just the right amount of pigment level where it doesn't blend away, and it doesn't also make me work too hard to apply it. It's just really, really lovely to apply. I feel like it melts right into the skin. This is, like I said, the breakout hit of the video. The IT Cosmetics Sun Blush. I think I really like this as well. This is quite nice. This can be built up to have a little bit more pigment, or you can also sheer it out. I like that customizable feature. I love the jar that you get in here. One thing I will say, you will never go through this entire thing. You get 18 grams of product in this, and for a blush, I'm never going to use that much, but I do think it's a really, really nice formula. It blended out really easily. It does have a bit of a glow to it, but it's nothing glassy or overly shiny that's going to be too intense. Like you saw today, I did put this over a more matte foundation, and it doesn't look glowy at all, but it does add a little bit of life back into the skin, which I do appreciate as well. The NYX Buttermelt Highlighter, I like this. It's very, very shiny. I do quite like this shade in particular, but I would just be wary if you don't like glitter in your highlight, because this does have a little bit of that going on as well. The Sephora Blur It Loose Powder, I really like this. I think this is lovely. This is definitely very blurring. I found it really did lock me in. I do find that it can be a little bit dry looking on top of that foundation and concealer, but at the same time, it also kind of fixed some things that I felt like were looking a little rough. So I think I really like this, and I've tried it with other foundation and concealer combinations, and it always looks super lovely on top of those. So I am excited to keep wearing this. This is a really nice powder, and the packaging, the design, the puff that comes with it, they did a really great job in terms of that as well. I feel like they really thought of everything. So really, really love this powder from the Sephora collection. And I also love the lip liner. This is really nice. It's a very, very creamy liner that glides right on the lips. It sort of has that sort of gel consistency like the old formula, and it's just very comfortable to apply. It's easy to feather out and blend into the lips if that's what you want to do, and it kind of locks in and stays put all day. This is a really, really great liner. In my recent MAC video, I was kind of talking about how the lip liners are some of my least favorites that they have, just because they are so dry and tuggy, but I know people love them because they're so long wearing. But I feel like in this day and age, we have lip liners that are in pencil form that are comfortable to apply and will dry down and wear all day long without being uncomfortable to apply, and this is definitely one of them. I hate how much I love this Dior lipstick. This is so pricey. Like I said, this is their Rouge Dior On Stage lipsticks. I have the shade 120 Iconic Nude Shine. I love this. I love the little sort of teardrop shaped bullet. I love the way it hugged my lips. It felt almost like an oil applying it because it was just so wet feeling and comfortable. It deposited so much pigment right away, and I feel like it looks so shiny and beautiful. It also somehow filled in my lip lines a little bit. I feel like my lips look more plump and juicy, but this isn't a plumping lipstick by any means. I just feel like it's such a beautiful lipstick. So I love this. I am going to try really hard not to order more of these because they are expensive, but what a beautiful, beautiful formula. So that is it. So far, everything I tried today was pretty good. The only things I didn't really like were the foundation and concealer, but everything else is so good. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you've tried any of these. Are you thinking about it? Let me know your thoughts. Are you a crazy cat parent like I am? Let me know that too, so we can kind of bond over that. But that is it for me today. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.